How are you?
Good. I know.
Well, actually,
I didn't see it yesterday because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
our meetings were really on the same page.
I mean, I had various
Oh.
yeah, with judges.
I know somebody who feels like that too. I say
Great when you come into the chair.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're
I thought it was
not
fine.
still functioning.
I thought it was fine entertainment.
I actually went. I wanted to make sure I had your.
You're ready to go. All right.
It was beautiful.
Testing.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've heard about it, yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. I did click it. I swear I clicked it. All good? Good morning. We're going to get started. Dr. Drake will be here shortly, but we'll go ahead and get started at 9:04 a.m. on July 25th, 2025. I'd like to welcome everybody. Before we do the roll call, I'd like to introduce a new committee to the University Center of Excellence in Forensic Nursing. With over 30 years of experience in forensic nursing, she's a recognized leader in the field. Dr. Mitchell previously chaired the Houston Forensic Science Center and has held numerous influential roles, including past president of the International Association of Forensic Nursing and founding board member of the Academy of Forensic Nursing. She is a fellow of the American Academy of Nursing. Dr. Mitchell earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Virginia Commonwealth University, Medical College of Virginia, and her Doctor of Nursing Practice from the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. I'd like to welcome her here today and joining this illustrious group of people for the high pay that you get paid.
No, thank you very much.
We're very happy to have you, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, I'm excited.
One thing you'll learn very quickly is the way these gooseneck microphones work is that if you're not,
Up to it.
if you,
Right at it.
you have about a 2-inch leeway there.
Yeah, okay, great.
And if the green light's on, you're go. If it's off, nobody can hear you. Now,
Okay,
they can hear you on the Zoom, but the folks in the audience who have driven from great distance to join us might not be able to hear you.
okay, great, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, so the first item is the roll call. If you'll say aye when your name is called. Dr. Patrick Bazzini.
Aye.
Dr. Michael Coble.
Aye.
Dr. Mark Daniel, who is absent. We'll discuss that momentarily. Dr. Stacy Mitchell.
Aye.
Dr. Drake is soon to be here. And Dr. Sarah Kerrigan.
Aye.
Mr. Jarvis Parsons.
Aye.
Ms. Erica Zemak.
Aye.
All right, well, as you noticed, Mr. Daniel is not here today, and I find it a little bit interesting that our largest complaints and self-disclosures, and he uniquely happens to be in trial, so I'm not sure this is, planned or not. But what everyone has found, the staff has found, is that when you have to pick up the slack, you find out just how much work there is involved. And so despite my frequent harassment of Mr. Daniel, he does a very good job and he moves very quickly through it. So the timer is on the staff today. We're picking up his slack. So with that in mind, do we have a motion to excuse Mr. Daniel from the meeting today?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We should recognize that Dr. Drake is present.
And Dr. Drake is present. All right, so the second item is to review and adopt the minutes from the quarterly commission and disclosure of number 24.32 DNA reference laboratory, which will be a second motion. So is there a motion, a discussion of the minutes, or is there a motion to approve the minutes as drafted?
I'll make the motion.
Motion to accept the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, finally, I need a motion to approve the 24.32 DNA reference laboratory minutes as drafted, but the only two who will vote on that would be Dr. Coble and Ms. Zemak. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, that's only two of you voting. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Dr. Busini, you can't vote
Yeah.
because it's just the panel that we
Dr.
did.
Coble and
Sorry about
Erica.
that.
And
No worries.
Mr. Daniel
Enough coffee.
is in trial, so he can't.
So there were 3 people at the panel meeting that we did at the CHI. Mark Daniel, Erica Zemak, and Michael Coble. So those are the only ones who are voting on this, but Mr. Daniel's not here, so we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
All right, so let's just do it this way. Dr. Coble, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, Erica?
I approve.
Okay, so the motion carries. All right, item number 3 is the office administrative update.
Okay, in your materials, you have our budget status report, which is sort of the end of the fiscal year report. Our fiscal year closes on August 31. Does anyone have any questions about the budget? Okay, one thing that we wanted to update you on is that we are, before our next meeting, we are supposed to have construction starting in our office suite. If any commissioners want to come visit us, you're welcome to. We have temporary space in the building that's just adjacent to this building. We've been in it for a while now. The Texas Facilities Commission has given us the architectural plans for the new space, and they're supposed to start work in October. And we'll be moving into that new space in April. So there'll be a lot of construction going on in the suite in the interim. The good news is that the Facilities Commission is paying for all of it, because if you recall, we got kicked out of our space and Stephen F. Austin by the Office of Capital and Forensic Grids when they were expanding. And I guess TFC took pity on our small budget and decided that they were going to do the renovation. So we're grateful for that, and we're not going to complain about the noise because they're handling all the renovations. We'll have a small conference space, which will be great for not a meeting, a quarterly meeting, but for some of our smaller meetings we can host there, probably 8 to 10 seats. So that's something that's ongoing that we're excited about. They have started construction in the lobby, and it's getting very loud because they're doing a lot of big rock work. I think it's going to be beautiful when it's done. It's just a process. So that's the construction update. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Okay. It's kind of going in and out. One thing that we did want to, before I turn it over to Lee to talk about ALIS, which is our new application platform that we've been working very diligently on with the Office of Court Administration, I did want to mention that we received the funding in the budget for our new lead scientist position. We are going to be posting that, and we have a motion in the agenda for you all to instruct staff to work with OCA to post that. We don't need to do that motion necessarily because OCA runs all that process for us, but I think it's good for the commission to acknowledge that this is a position we need. You know, as the volume of work increases, the volume of disclosures like what you see on the agenda, there is nothing like having a scientific expert to help us narrow down what it is that we are giving to commissioners to review before meetings. So right now there's a lot of burden on the chemists and on the forensic biology specialists on the commission because Lee and Robert and I can do a lot, but we can't always look at the documents the same way scientists can. So we're excited about that position, and we will keep you all updated as it moves forward. But there is a motion for that, Dr. Bernard.
Is there a motion to instruct the commission staff to work with human resources at the Office of Court Administration to post and hire a senior level forensic scientist? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is the discussion of complaints and laboratory self-disclosures.
Before we get there, I'd just like Lee to give a brief update on the application transition from top class to ALIS for our forensic analysts and technicians.
So licensing staff has been working hard with these programmers to help us transition to an actual licensing application platform, and it's the same platform that the other JDCC licensing and certification programs use, so we'll all be kind of on the same consistent system. And we hope to launch before August 31, and around August 31 is the expected launch date now. The only snafu that we have is that at the same time, Texas.gov is transitioning to a new payment system, and that deadline is 7/31. We were working really hard to meet that deadline, but just unfortunately, we really want to get the system right, so we're gonna need another month. And so during that transition, there will be about a 2 to 3 week period where we might delay some licensing payments, or ask you to pay, after August 31st, but we won't delay anyone's renewal or new application for licensure because of that issue.
So for those 2 or 3 weeks where we can't accept payments through the online feature, we're either gonna instruct people to send in paper checks or keep track of all the folks who are licensed without payment and just ask them to pay once the system comes live. For those labs that pay for their people, it's not that big a deal because we use these coupon codes to approve your folks, but for people who are doing individual payments, they just may need to catch up later and do those. So we'll let folks know through a blast communication how we're gonna handle it. It shouldn't be for very long, so hopefully it's not a huge burden.
All right, so now we're gonna get to the disclosures, and y'all are on the clock now.
All right, so as Lynn told you all, the staff is going to go through these complaints and hopefully live up to Mark Daniels' expectations since he normally does this. Our first one is 2506, and this is Bayer County Criminal Investigation Laboratory, a seized drugs matter. This was an incident in the laboratory seized drugs section where an analyst claimed overtime but did not perform the work during that time that she was claiming. The person has been dismissed by Bayer County now as of June 27th. And staff has provided a recommendation that the commission take no further action given the conclusions in the county's own investigation in the matter and the analyst's separation from the lab. And should this person decide to reapply or reactivate her license at that time, the commission will consider the conduct as part of her application evaluation.
All right, so the recommendation was no further action based on the disciplinary action taken by the laboratory, separation of the analyst from the laboratory on June 30th. Is there a motion to take no further action?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next agenda item is number 25.10, which is a self-disclosure by the Quality Forensic Toxicology Lab. In this situation, an Agilent field service technician had come out to work on an instrument, and they installed the BAC1 and BAC2 columns in the incorrect outlets. And essentially, the sum and substance of the disclosure is that that was not noticed in a timely manner, and so we had some erroneous reports from the BAC2 column. The lab recalculated the data from all of the affected reports. It did impact 2 of their clients with a total of 4 cases. They amended reports, and then they did a root cause analysis. Dr. Kerrigan had reviewed that root cause analysis, asked a series of follow-up questions. The lab amplified and expanded their RCA to include the complete cause, and we also spoke with the lab yesterday and talked to them about the various RCA mapping tools. We suggested that they become members of the TAFLIT and the TAFQAM, which they are doing, and I think the final set of follow-up questions were answered in a satisfactory way. So I think the recommendation from staff is no further action on the self-disclosure given the initial reporting and all of the work that they've done in response to Dr. Kerrigan's and staff questions since that time.
Okay, the recommendation was no further action to be taken. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second's been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Number 3.
The third matter on our screening agenda is 2456, and this is Sorensen Forensics. In its forensic biology section, they disclosed an incident where the lab discovered that the former CEO, and if you all recall, we've had several incidents that they've uncovered throughout the department, since the departure of the last CEO or CFO, that he had conducted and instructed analysts to conduct case reviews of previously generated data with no documented procedure for performing those reviews, and also no technical or admin reviews for those case reviews. So the lab is currently conducting and working on concluding its own internal investigation of that casework to identify additional instances of that type of activity in case review. To date, they have not identified any affected Texas cases. And the former CEO has not been employed by Sorensen since December of 2022. And there have been no case reviews of that type since the discovery of this issue and since his departure. The lab attributed 2 root causes to this incident. One was the quality management procedure lacked controls for the classification of report types and allowed ambiguous report categories without defining those review requirements for those reports. And also, they attributed the cause mainly to a failure in leadership behavior. The lab, of course, formally ceased producing any case reviews as a reportable work product, and staff in this instance is recommending no further action on the self-disclosure given the root cause analysis, the lab's case review that continues to be ongoing, and corrective actions that have been taken by the laboratory, and of course, the fact that the former CEO is no longer associated with the lab.
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the recommendation for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconds made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4.
2457, this is an NMS Labs disclosure in its C-stroke section. NMS disclosed multiple instances of an analyst switching cases and working under the incorrect case numbers in the laboratory's LIMS system. After investigation, the lab discovered additional errors in a variety of different categories that we provided in your meeting materials. Based on the lab's internal investigation, the lab determined the cause to be the analyst's inadequate attention to detail and meeting certain quality standards due to the perceived pressure to meet goals and certain timelines. On August 29, 2024, the analyst submitted a letter of resignation, so she's no longer working at the laboratory. The lab reviewed all in-house cases tested by the analyst for similar issues. 2 of those cases required amended reports. However, the lab found no impact to the testing performed or to the penalty in the case. I think we also have, is Barry Logan here?
Yes.
If you wanted to add anything, Dr. Logan?
You don't have to, but if you'd like to, you're welcome to.
We're good. So, did you want to? I'm sorry.
No, I'll let you finish your report.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Well, we're recommending that the commission take no further action given the root cause analysis by the lab and the corrective actions that they've taken, and also the notice they provided to stakeholders, and then the fact that the analyst is no longer employed by the lab.
All
This
right,
analyst still in Texas?
any discussion?
This analyst still in Texas or working at any lab in Texas?
Is this analyst in Texas or working on any cases in Texas? Analyst is not with you anymore, correct?
That's correct. And we're not aware of where she is.
Doesn't know where she is. All right, so is there a motion for no further action?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 5.
Number 5 is matter 2518 from the Center for Human Identification, and it's forensic biology DNA related disclosure. We have 2 recusals on this, Dr. Coble and Dr. Zemak. On January 23, 2025, the Center for Human ID disclosed an issue in its missing persons unit where during demineralization bone extraction procedure, On January 8th, a senior forensic technologist discovered that the 5 milliliter pipette tips that they were using lacked the aerosol resistant filter barrier that's required by the associated lab's procedure. The lab placed an order for new filtered pipette tips, and then they received them. They replaced all the pipette tip boxes and suspended bone extractions until further notice, pending the completion of testing and internal investigation. The lab also identified and reviewed all cases in which the lab used these tips for errors. The staff in this incident is recommending the commission take no further action on the disclosure given the root cause analysis and corrective actions by the lab.
Okay, I have a question. What's your do you have a projection of when you'll be able to be back online with that? Because I know that that's pretty critical to a lot of other labs that or places you work for.
So I would not suggest that either Dr. Coble or Ms. Zemek answer that question, but we do have the quality manager here, so.
Someone.
If you, we can give you the mic, Ingrid, if you want.
Hello. We are currently online. We did some testing to ensure that the pipettes were did not have contamination from having pulled all of the liquid during all that time when we had unfiltered pipette tips. So all of these pipettes have been checked for the presence of contaminants, and that testing was successful and was included in that corrective action report. We did SNP testing, mitochondrial, and SDR testing for those.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so the recommendation is no further action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6.
Number 6 is matter number 2521 out of the Houston Forensic Science Center and its crime scene investigation unit. In May of 2025, the HFSC reported the termination of a crime scene investigator on May 19th, and this was due to the person's dishonesty and lack of candor in reporting an incident where the CSI actually added pages of notes to an investigated case file and then backdated the notes to the original case notes in the file. The laboratory in this incident notified the affected parties, the Harris County District Attorney's Office and the Fort Bend District Attorney's Office, of the incident, and then they provided both us and those agencies with a list of cases that were completed by the CSI from her time there, January 2020 through May 20, 2025. In this incident, the staff is recommending that the commission take no further action based on the root cause analysis, corrective actions by the lab, and the fact that the analyst is no longer employed there, no longer licensed by the commission as of today. I'm sorry, this person is not licensed by the commission. So one of y'all had asked me that.
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so the recommendation is no further action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7.
Number 7 is number 25-2022 out of the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Laboratory in its seized drug section, where the laboratory reported an incident that they identified in which there was a miscalculation of its uncertainty of measurement for single weighing events that resulted in incorrectly reported uncertainty measurements for seized drugs casework. The lab ultimately concluded that the miscalculation produced only minor errors to the final calculation of its measurement uncertainty for the reporting of drug weights using the analytical balances most commonly utilized in the laboratory's drug identification table. The lab in this case notified the Bexar County District Attorney's Office of the error, and it also corrected its calculations for measurement uncertainty to show the correct conclusions for expanded uncertainty measurement and the UC single weighing event. On July 10, 2025, Commission staff also spoke with ANAB regarding the measurement uncertainty reporting issue, and ANAB confirmed that given the laboratory's administrative measurement uncertainty, that it was giving a broader range than the revised measurement uncertainty. It wasn't necessary for the lab to issue amended reports in the matter. And I hope I'm making technical sense. I might need some help.
That's correct, that's
Okay.
correct.
However, ANAB also noted that during their next assessment activity, which will be the same for the lab, they will be reviewing the lab's approach to calculating measurement uncertainty in detail. And should any areas be identified for improvement during that process, we will update you all accordingly when we get that accreditation report. In this incident, we're recommending the commission take no further action on the self-disclosure given the root cause that the lab did, the corrective actions the laboratory has taken, and finally the fact that ANAB will be reviewing the measurement uncertainty during its upcoming assessment activity.
All right, is there any discussion by anybody? Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Recommendation is no further action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second's made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8.
So this is number 25.23, a self-disclosure by SERI, the Serological Research Institute. And essentially this is a contamination case. SERI in April of 2025 reported an incident where an analyst obtained an unexpected female profile from a sample from a sexual assault kit being investigated for a secondary reference from a deceased person of interest. The lab searched the female profile, determined the female profile belonged to another case being worked on by the same analyst, and the two cases were not related. They did an investigation and determined the contamination occurred in the extraction tube for the case sometime before amplification. In this case, we had asked some follow-up questions. By we, I mean Dr. Coble and Ms. Zemak, and SERI's responses were pretty brief, and in our view inadequately so. So we are going to be following up with them, and therefore we recommend the commission table the self-disclosure given the brevity of the lab's responses and the need to follow up. And Ms. Zemak, if I forgot anything, please let me know.
Not at all.
All right, is there any further discussion at this time? All right, so the recommendation is to table this until further information is provided. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then for number 9, which is complaint 25, I'm sorry, self-disclosure 25.24. This is also a series self-disclosure, and in this example, they identified a switch sample, and the lab attributed that to the analyst failing to check the order of the tubes on the quantification rack. And the way they addressed it was by counseling and cautioning the analyst to make sure she double checks the plate, and also cautioning analysts to double check their tube labels against record sheets during a staff meeting. Similar to the contamination event that was self-disclosed, Ms. Zemak and Dr. Coble had some follow-up questions which were, and sort of embedded suggestions about how you might improve the process, but the responses we got were quite brief, and we need to go back to them and talk to them about a little bit more about what they're actually doing besides just telling people to be more careful, which is a common way to address things, and perhaps they do need to be more careful, but we also learn through time that there are certain checks that you can also put in place because humans are human and they make mistakes. So we need to follow up with them, and therefore we are recommending that the commission table this self-disclosure until we have the opportunity to speak with SERI.
All right, recommendation is to table this. Is there any further discussion? Is there a motion to table this? Second?
Second.
Second's made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 10.
Number 10 is item number 2525, and this is a forensic biology related self-disclosure from Signature Science Laboratory, where after an annual transcript review of an analyst's testimony, the lab determined the analyst had not followed recommendations that were issued during during a 2021 testimony evaluation of the analyst's testimony. And that the analyst did not testify accurately from 2022 to 2024 in her testimony based on transcript reviews that were conducted after the fact. The lab believes the inaccurate and confusing testimony by the analyst may have impeded the jury's ability to assign the appropriate weight of the DNA evidence in the matters where they identified these errors. The lab explains that the analyst claimed his signature science with experience, therefore the lab didn't require her to complete moot court during training. Now the lab requires this training, and that was corrective action responsive to this incident. The laboratory planned to have the analyst supervisor, the technical leader, or other designee as dictated by the technical leader observe all of her pre-trial meetings until she completed a successful moot court exercise. However, she resigned on November 1, 2023 before they do that, basically. The commission updated her license status to inactive, and she hasn't tried to reactivate it at this time. The lab is in the process of reviewing all the analyst testimony transcripts, and we provided some of that information in your meeting materials. The lab has reviewed 7 transcripts as of the date that we drafted this memo, so it may be a little bit more now. The lab notified impacted agencies in instances where they identified errors and made them aware of the corrective action, gave them a copy of it, and then highlighted the issues that were identified in each testimony. The laboratory also updated its standard operating procedure, as I stated before, related to courtroom testimony, and they include now a requirement for stating a clearly defined time frame in which transcripts must be reviewed after receipt. In a lot of cases, for this particular laboratory, the testimony can be out of state, so it's hard to get someone to go observe live. Staff is recommending in this matter that the commission take no further action on the self-disclosure given the root cause analysis, the thorough transcript review, and then the corrective actions that have been taken by the laboratory, and the fact that the analyst is no longer licensed or employed by the laboratory.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to take no further action?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 11.
Number 11 is self-disclosure 2526 in your meeting materials. This is from Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences, where they reported an incident in their forensic biology section where an analyst received an offender hit in CODIS on a DNA profile for a listed complainant, when the laboratory should have removed this profile from CODIS. The lab completed a CODIS removal report for the profile issue in February of 2024. The reporter, technical reviewer, and the CODIS reviewer failed to verify the non-removal of the profile in all of those instances. The profile got a second hit in March of 2025, and the lab incorrectly sent that hit notification to the corresponding law enforcement agency. The lab, of course, has removed the profile, and then they amended the case report. The lab notified the agency of the nonconformity and provided the complete corrective action report as well. Additionally, the laboratory reviewed at least 5 years of CODIS removal reports to verify that those profiles were in fact removed from the database, and the CODIS administrator reviewed the proper CODIS removal procedures with the interpretation staff during an interpretation meeting. And the lab updated its CODIS procedure to clarify when exactly the removal should happen. Additionally, the lab updated the reporting statement for CODIS removal to include the verified date so that you actually have to write it down. Staff recommends in this matter no further action on the self-disclosure, given the root cause analysis and corrective actions by the lab, and also in the disposition letter for this particular one, we're recommending that we really commend the lab for its thorough quality documentation, and we recommend that it should be shared with the other laboratories as a model. We've had some other really good ones in the past, and we thought this one was exceptional, and so we just want to congratulate and thank the lab for the thorough reporting.
It's, I think what's really informative about some of the RCAs we've gotten recently is that the tools that are available to map and view the root cause analysis are being incorporated in those. So visually, it's really great for the commission because we can see everything that was done. And there are different tools out there that are free that folks can use. And so we just were hoping that, like, I think Corpus was another one that we had commented on either last meeting or the meeting before. And so to the extent that the TAFQAM, and I know there are members of TAFQAM in the audience right now, if ACIFS is comfortable sharing that documentation, that would be great, because the more we can use those tools, the easier it is on the commission and the people in receipt of the information to understand exactly what the lab did and why.
All right, is there any further discussion? Is there a motion to take no further action?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 12.
Item 12 is self-disclosure 2530 out of the Fort Worth Police Department Crime Laboratory, and it's related to blood alcohol. They reported an incident where a batch of 5 of their alcohol content cases and an analyst PT for blood alcohol were reported out despite the calibrator being out of range. The samples should have been rerun in that incident. The laboratory attributed the root cause of the incident to 2 things. First, chemistry analysts are only assigned BAC cases 1 week per year, and we've seen this issue in the past where they're trying to work both sides of the laboratory. And the lab believes there's a mindset shift required, and we do too, to transition from seized drugs to toxicology. Additionally, the technical review of casework in the chemistry unit is primarily completed by the unit supervisor, and the lab believes that fatigue can set in when conducting a high number of those reviews in a short period of time. This set of technical reviews was more complicated given the set of reruns involved, which likely distracted the reviewer from being able to recognize the technical error and numerous administrative errors. The second root cause identified for the incident was a lack of specificity in the technical review process in the chemistry unit. After the cases affected in this incident, the chemistry unit implemented specific technical review checklists for each analysis type, and the checklists include all the elements of technical and admin review that are supposed to be included in a complete case record. The lab updated its chemistry policy to include these checklists. The lab also conducted a review of missing documentation and updated calibration data based on administrative errors indicated that no change to the reported, and errors indicated that there was no change to the reported blood alcohol content. And thus, the lab believes that there are no amended reports necessary for those 5 reported cases that they identified or for the PT test that they identified. The analyst achieved consensus results on her next PT and continues to do blood alcohol casework. The lab now prints the calibrator screen to a PDF to ensure the information is technically reviewed. The analyst is also observing another trained analyst who performs blood alcohol analysis frequently as a refresher before she began her own rotation. The lab considered these admin errors pretty low risk because they didn't have any changes to the reported values. We also had our expert, Dr. Kerrigan, look at this as well, and just due to the thorough root cause analysis and corrective action, she did not have thorough questions. I think the only comment she had was that having analysts cross disciplines often presents issues like we see here. So staff is recommending that the commission take no further action given the root cause and corrective actions by the lab.
Dr. Kerrigan, did you have anything else, or was that a sufficient summary?
Nothing more from me, thank you.
All right, the staff recommendation is no further action. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second's made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 13.
Number 13 is disclosure 25.32 from DPS out of Lubbock. This involves a case that had been reported out by an analyst as 8.44 grams of methamphetamine in a baggie containing white crystalline substances. DPS routinely reanalyzes some seized drug evidence every quarter for an analyst, and during this reanalysis, the re-examining analyst discovered that one of the 3 large crystals in that bag was actually a small tied plastic bag that was coated in crystalline substance. And so that changed the weight that had been reported out, and the laboratory, after consulting with management, the original analysts sub-itemized the plastic bag in just strides and then reweighed the evidence and issued an amended report. The cause of the error was that the bag looked similar to the other large crystals in item number 1. The laboratory reviewed roughly 10% of the cases worked by this analyst in the last half of 2024. This appears to be an isolated incident not expected to occur again. So staff is recommending no further action given the root cause analysis and corrective actions taken by the laboratory.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to take no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconds made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 14.
That's disclosure number 25.35 from the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Laboratory, reporting an incident in the seized drug sections where they shipped out some evidence to Armstrong's Forensics in an outsourcing contract without following the required preparation steps. They had a growing backlog of seized drugs, and so this outsourcing project was a new process for Bexar County that required an update to their quality assurance manual and evidence receiving manual. The new procedures require a review of the outsourcing lab's SOPs, validations, and instrument records, competency records. What happened here is when the Commissioner's Court approved this outsourcing contract, they went ahead and shipped 2 containers of evidence containing 103 cases to Armstrong without first fulfilling this procedure review. And that's based on just the pressure to reduce the backlog. They caught that mistake immediately and had Armstrong hold off analyzing the evidence until they did review all the quality assurance documents. They were all reviewed, no issues were identified, so this is largely an administrative issue. Based on that, staff is recommending no further action based on the root cause analysis and corrective actions taken by the laboratory.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 15.
This is disclosure 25.36 from the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Laboratory, reporting an incident where an analyst reported a drug weight in milligrams rather than the correct number of grams, and an amended report had to be issued in the case, changing the reported weight from milligrams to grams. This issue was discovered when a prosecutor contacted the analyst because of the discrepancy between the laboratory report and what the notes of the agency indicated. The laboratory had switched to a paperless worksheet in 2022, and it's believed the analyst just could have been inputting their data onto a small laptop screen and accidentally selected MG instead of G to populate the report. They went back and reviewed 10% of the cases worked between July and November 2022 and found no additional non-conformities. In addition, the laboratory purchased monitors and laptop stands to facilitate better visibility while inputting data into the electronic worksheet. So the staff is recommending no further action based on the root cause analysis, case review, and corrective actions by the laboratory, and the fact that the analyst is no longer employed by the laboratory to a separate misreporting of overtime hours. It's also included in this GC memo.
Is there any further discussion?
Is there any
None?
knowledge?
Sorry, Jarvis?
Is there any knowledge if this analyst is working in another lab in Texas? No? Okay.
Do you all have a sense of that?
She's not.
She is not, says Bear County, who are here.
All right. Is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconds made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're halfway done. Number 16.
Are we doing all right, or you said that?
I'm having trouble getting used to the side comments that I'm normally harassed with, so I'm a little out of sorts here.
Okay, we're trying. Although I would note it's taking 3 of us to do the job of 1 Mark. So.
Please do not tell Mark Daniels that. Please do not tell him that.
Okay, so number 16 is a self-disclosure by the Brazoria County Crime Lab in Seized Drugs section. It's number 25.37, and they were working with someone in training where they had issued some instructions that the trainee should not access previously issued reports. And in order to sort of confirm whether they were on the right track with their training exercise, this analyst did that anyway. The lab management spent a significant amount of time speaking with her and working with her to help make sure she understood that if she has questions, she needs to speak up and ask those questions as opposed to trying to confirm with previously issued reports. So we have had multiple conversations with the lab at this point, as well as they have spoken with the DA's office, who's committing to do a Brady notice on the analysts not following instructions with respect to the training exercises. The lab feels confident that this analyst understands the seriousness of the need to stop and pause and ask questions as opposed to trying to figure out whether she got it right, and they believe that she will be able to do the work in a way that has integrity moving forward. So trusting in the lab's assessment of that, the commission staff is recommending no further action. We had said we would table it, but I think after multiple conversations, we feel like ultimately it's for the lab management to make that decision, and they feel like they have worked with her enough that she can move forward. So that's where we stand.
Okay, any discussion? Anybody have questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 17 is number 25.38, also self-disclosure from Brazoria County Crime Lab. This is in the area of blood alcohol. In June, they reported discovering that a toxicologist had repeatedly 1 or more whole blood controls failing to meet the 5% target concentration during 4 recent analyses. And this led to either partial or entire batches failing due to samples not being bracketed by passing controls. And so ultimately they ended up outsourcing those specific cases, but after review, what they realized is that this is a pipetting technique issue where the analyst would start off pipetting well or accurately, and then as the run went on, her ability to do the pipetting effectively would deteriorate. And so we talked extensively yesterday with the quality manager and the lab director about ways to address this, and sort of decided that if the lab shifts to a positive displacement pipette as one approach, instead of trying to do it all using a Hamilton sort of automated pipetting process that if they switch to the fully automated process, they'll need to revalidate their entire blood alcohol method, do measurement uncertainty again and all that. So the next step is going to be to try to use the positive displacement pipette and see whether or not her pipetting skills improve. So they're going to work on that, and in light of the conversations we've had with them, during which Dr. Kerrigan worked through various scenarios, we feel like there's no further action needed on this, and if the staff needs to talk with us again, they know they can reach out and we will talk with them about the pipetting issue or any other issues that come up technically.
All right, is there any further discussion or questions by anyone? All right, hearing none, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 18, number 25.39, also self-disclosure from Brazoria County Crime Lab and seized drugs. In June, they recorded an incident where they realized, because the training discovered that the lab had used sodium bicarbonate for qualitative analysis outside of the lab's retest or expiration date for the chemical. They examined what was going on in the situation and did an investigation. Their conclusion was that it did not impact casework, and the improvements that they needed to make were in inventory process, and also they conduct now a quarterly audit of the inventory to keep a tighter control on expiration dates. They have simplified the way they record inventory of information, established a retention policy and verification protocols for accepting a manufacturer's extension of an expiration date. They've done a reconciliation of their inventory records and moved materials that are used for research and training to a different location. And now, as I said, the quality manager performs an audit quarterly. So in light of that investigation and corrective actions, our recommendation is no further action.
Is there any discussion? If not, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 19.
This is disclosure 2519 by DPS Houston reporting an incident in seized drugs where evidence technicians destroyed a case that had been intended to be analyzed. So the agency submitted 2 cases to the laboratory, one for analysis and one for destruction. And the evidence technician destroyed the case intended for analysis because the submitting agency had submitted it in a clear plastic destruction bag. This clear bag is designed to allow the laboratory to inventory evidence inside the bag without having to open it. The technician in this case failed to inventory the case and didn't notice that it had evidence in it that should be analyzed instead of destroyed. Management discussed the issue with the evidence coordination team with a focus on verifying submission information, and also instructed them to complete trainings on time management, improving focus and attention to detail. Staff recommends Commission take no further action based on root cause analysis and corrective actions by the laboratory.
Okay, any further discussion? Is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 20?
20 is disclosure 25.31 from DPS, where they shipped a Pelican case containing 6 seized drugs and toxicology samples via FedEx to Austin, and it never arrived. They looked into it, eventually located the shipment, and noted that the shipping label had fallen off of it. So it did finally get delivered, but the tox samples that were in the Pelican case went unrefrigerated for approximately 10 days. The laboratory's It's going to transition to a fully in-person submission of evidence policy effective September 1. And so staff recommends no further action based on the analysis and corrective actions taken by the laboratory and the fact that the laboratory plans to fully transition to an in-person evidence submission policy in September.
And Brady is gonna drive all the evidence around the state now to make sure it gets to its destination. I'm sorry, I had to do one snarky comment because otherwise I would feel like a commissioner.
Yeah, you gotta have some practice. All right, any further comments?
Is this just
Is
Waco's
there a-
gonna go in person? Is Waco just gonna go in person or DPS is gonna just go in person?
Where's the mic?
That's right.
Okay. Mr. Mills is gonna respond.
Brady Mills, Texas Department of Public Safety. We're transitioning to all evidence at all locations to be submitted in person. So that's all of the evidence in each discipline. So out of your county there in Brazoria, or Brazos County would be going either in person to Houston or in person to Austin.
All right, any further questions or commentary? Hearing none, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
All right, there's a primary, is there a secondary? One of
I'll
you.
second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 21,
It's a disclosure 25.33 from DPS Wesselco reporting an incident where technicians destroyed 2 seized drug cases marked "Do Not Destroy." The initial evidence technician failed to recognize that the form indicated that it shouldn't be destroyed. And the second reviewing technician also failed to recognize that the form indicated "Do Not Destroy." The cause of the incident was attributed to a lack of attention to detail. The technicians were instructed to improve their personal processes by focusing on one document at a time and using a visual cue to help distinguish the difference in forms. And the laboratory plans to audit a sample of the next 5 destruction events to monitor performance in this area. Staff recommends the commission take no further action on the self-disclosure given the root cause analysis and corrective actions by the laboratory.
all right, any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 22,
This is disclosure 25.16 from the Center for Human Identification. So we have 2 recusals, Dr. Coble and Ms. Zemak. And if you recall, we had a presentation from Dr. Stout and Ms. Zemak about issues discovered with respect to low DNA yield or no DNA yield in EZ1 and EZ2 investigator kits manufactured by QIAGEN. And so what this is essentially disclosure describing the steps that the CHI took once they realized that the initial notification that QIAGEN had sent out was incomplete in terms of the scope of the issue. And they have been working with QIAGEN to determine potential impact. They're conducting a retroactive case review. If we find out that the time frame that QIAGEN identified is expanded or there are other issues, the CHI will come back and let us know that they've observed additional issues. And I know all of the labs that are impacted by the QIAGEN manufacturing issue will be doing the same. So in light of all of that information and the work that the CHI has done, staff recommends no further action.
any further discussion? All right, noting the 2 recusals, is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Having a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, The next item that we have on the agenda is a SIG-side signature science disclosure, also related to the QIAGEN manufacturing issue. It's number 25.17 in your materials. And if you recall from the presentation we received from Dr. Stout and Ms. Zemak, it was SIG-side who originally identified these issues with the Easy 1 and Easy 2 investigator kits. And this disclosure discusses what happened, which is that HFSC had outsourced some work to them, including a blind quality control sample, and it was through that process that they realized that they had some issues in manufacturing because the expected known result would be present in a blind. So this example also highlights at a very practical level how helpful it is to do blind quality control, because then when issues come up through manufacturing, that's one way that you might be able to clearly identify that you actually have a manufacturing issue, because you have ground truth in blind quality control samples. So I would like to just take a minute to commend SIG-sci and the thorough work that they did and continue to do to make sure that the time frame that QIAGEN outlined for impact is actually accurate and not longer or broader. And also they continue to look at other cases. They did an in-house quality check of the instruments and reagents, making sure that they perform as inspected. They revised their SOP with respect to the Easy 1 and Easy 2 kits. And they also notified all clients about the issue and that they would be only utilizing kits produced with the improved manufacturing process going forward. So in light of all of that, we would recommend that the commission take no further action.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion for no further action?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 24.
Before we do 24, I did want to know that QIAGEN reached out to ask if any commissioners would like to travel to Germany to observe their manufacturing process, and I told them no. I'm sorry, but I told them we're not going to Germany.
That's presumptuous.
Yeah, you don't speak for all of us, Lynn. You don't speak for all of us.
No, I don't think we can do that one. All right, I guess we're moving on to complaints now, right?
Yes.
Alright, number 24 is complaint number 25.28. This is filed by the spouse of the defendant alleging his bond was revoked based on a urine drug confirmation test. And it seeks to end reliance on non-accredited laboratory testing for pre-trial detention decisions. Staff's recommended that this complaint be dismissed because confirmatory testing of urine by a College of American Pathologists accredited laboratory is exempt from commission accreditation requirements by administrative rule when the results are used in an action to revise or revoke bond.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Is there a motion to dismiss?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 25.
This is complaint 25.29. It's filed by a defense attorney on behalf of the death penalty defendant, broadly alleging suspicion of evidence tampering by Ron Smith and Associates and the Houston Forensic Science Center analyst to obtain a latent print match in a cold case, and also alleging other significant issues involving multiple incidents spanning over 10 years of DNA analysis by HFSC analysts to obtain results implicating a specific person. These allegations are fairly broad and attached are a 400-page writ of habeas corpus and a 40-page affidavit of a defense expert. We forwarded all that to the laboratory for review and response. I learned yesterday from Peter Stout that the laboratory has tested over 2,500 items of evidence in connection with this case because it involves multiple murders over many years. So staff's recommendation at this time is that the commission table the complaint to provide the laboratory with an opportunity to review the allegations and provide a response.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I have a quick question about it. I was just curious, you mentioned it about the DNA. Are they going to give a response about latent breeds as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Is there a motion to table the complaint?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This next one, I have to recuse myself.
So item number 26 is 25.40 on your agenda. It's a complaint filed by the attorneys for Blaine Milam, who was convicted of capital murder in 2010. Dr. Drake, will you be able to take this motion? Dr. Barnard is recusing. Essentially, the complaint involves some DNA mixtures that were analyzed by SWIFs during a time period where practices with respect to DNA mixture interpretation, the labs didn't always have validated a stochastic threshold. Sometimes multiple CPIs would be issued, as was true in this case for different defendants. And so we forwarded the complaint. It included affidavits from Simon Ford and Dan Crane, forwarded to SWIFs. Dr. Slider sent a response on Wednesday where they acknowledged that the mixtures need to be reinterpreted. They strongly recommend reinterpreting them, as this work was done before the DNA mixture review that we had done statewide starting in 2015, and I'm not sure for what reason, but a recalculation has not yet been requested by the parties, and so we, understanding that SWIFT is going to take responsibility for doing these recalculations and that they've acknowledged that they need to be done, staff's recommendation is that the complaint be dismissed with the acknowledgement that SWIFT will be reinterpreting these DNA mixture samples. And Ms. Zemak or Dr. Coble, if I've forgotten anything, please let me know. But that's the sum and substance. We, in all the cases where we did the DNA mixture review, once we had the triage process done, once the lab was asked for reinterpretation, typically, but not always, because sometimes Don Boswell did it for Tarrant County and there was a whole team for Travis County, but for the rest of the counties, Bob Wyckoff's team at the Harris County Public Defenders, once they made a request for reinterpretation, we did not continue those complaints on the agenda, knowing that the cases were going to be reworked anyway. So this is the same thing, and that's why we are making that recommendation. So staff's recommendation on this is dismissal, given that SWIFT will be reanalyzing those mixtures.
Staff has made a recommendation to dismiss the complaint. Do we have any discussion? Can I get that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries.
All right, number 27.
This is a staff dismissal. This is a complaint filed by a person alleging his DNA information is being disposed of and his official remainder not being legitimately handled. Staff is recommending that the commission approve the staff recommendation to dismiss the complaint as outside the commission's jurisdiction.
All right, is there any discussion about that? Is there a motion for dismissal?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries, and that ends the complaint section. Not bad, not bad. So, like I said, I'm a little unbalanced from the lack of harassment from Mr. Daniel, but otherwise. All right, item number 5.
Number 5 pertains to the Crime Laboratory Accreditation Program. 5A here, just to summarize the accreditation activities this quarter. The Commission considered 13 accreditation-related events this quarter. There's 3 that require follow-up, and we've been in touch with the labs to either ask questions or set up a further meeting for discussion. And those will carry over into our October meeting, and staff will update you on each of those items. 5B here pertains to 18 reported non-consensus or unexpected results reported during proficiency testing or proficiency monitoring activities at a laboratory. We don't currently have any PT matters on this list of 18 that require any further follow-up that we haven't already been in contact with the laboratories about. Item 5C on the agenda pertains to a rule proposal that you all saw at your last meeting. This is the adoption to incorporate rapid DNA into the Commission's accreditation requirements. And so we're asking you all to adopt the changes in the rule that you all have in your materials.
Is there any further discussion? All right, is there a motion to adopt changes to the rules discussed, subject to suggested non-substantive revisions from the Office of the Governor, Texas Register, and Commission staff?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.
Item 6 is an update on our licensing advisory board. Currently, we have 1,339 licensees and 132 that will renew through the end of this year. And we had 40 new applications last month, which was an uptick in previous months. And for item B here, we met yesterday. The licensing committee met from about 10 to 12:30 or 1-ish. We discussed, one of the primary things that we discussed was how smaller unaccredited agencies can work to comply with quality assurance requirements that we require for our voluntary licensure program, including the proficiency monitoring requirements and technical review requirements for casework that we require as part of those quality components. And the licensing advisory committee in that regard formed a small group to define what those requirements should be, what the expectation for those smaller agencies might be to assist them, and that includes the possible establishment of competency exams as a gateway for those to achieve licensure by the Forensic Science Commission. The committee also gave us an update on the development of a guidance document for agencies to collaborate on proficiency monitoring programs and achieving those requirements as well, and also developing standard operating procedures, and that is all in collaboration with the Texas Division for International Association for Identification, TDIAI. And Michelle Paulson is our primary liaison on that, if anybody has further questions. Another thing we did was we made assignments for, and thank you to all the volunteers who volunteered to do this for us. We made assignments for reviewing and updating the study materials for our exam. We periodically update the exam to keep it relevant, and we want to make sure that the materials balance with the current issues that are going on in the different forensic disciplines. One aspect, I think, of the GF-ALE 3 version, the third version of our exam, will probably incorporate more scenarios that have to do with those disciplines that we've added to voluntary licensure. And so we hope to get help from some people on those items as well. And I think this is just a starting point for the new version of the exam. We'll start with evaluating the study materials, whether anything new needs to be added to it or certain materials need to be taken away, and then go from there in developing questions for the third version of the exam. Anybody have questions about that? We also, Dr. Kelly Waters had his second to last meeting. He'll join us on the licensing committee for last time in October. He's not eligible for reappointment, unfortunately, so we will replace him at our October meeting. So we're looking to Dr. Stout of the Texas Crime Laboratory Directors Organization to give us nominations for that seat. And so we'll see those in our materials for the October meeting. We don't have any coursework to review this quarter. That's item C here, 6C. And then item 6D is a rulemaking to adopt amendments to the rules that basically harmonize what the new version of the QAS says about coursework requirements for forensic biology, DNA analysts, to harmonize those with what our licensing requirements require. And you all saw the proposal on this at our last meeting. If you have any questions about it, let me know, but we're asking you all to adopt these amendments to this rule.
All right, is there a motion to adopt amendments to the rules discussed, subject to suggested non-substantive revisions from the Office of the Governor, Texas Register, and Commission staff?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, item E here is a rule proposal where we're asking you all to edit the voluntary licensure requirements to permit latent print analysts working in unaccredited laboratories to fulfill certain certification requirements in a different way. And what we propose to do is permit the Texas Division of the International Association of Identification to come up with their own proctored certification competency exam that basically does the same thing that a certification exam would do. The CLPE certification exam in particular is often too expensive for the candidates that are wanting to take this exam, especially on top of a license. And so we've had questions about why they would need to get both. So in this instance, we're just offering another path to licensure. And thankfully, we have folks at TDIAI like Jack Flanders who graciously volunteered their time to develop this type of competency test for latent print analysts. And the other aspect of this rulemaking edits the requirements for crime scene reconstruction analysts, because we have a lot of crime scene reconstruction analysts who've been practicing for a very long time and they're highly qualified, where they have military background and a high school diploma in the place of where we might expect to see a traditional educational degree like a bachelor's degree. So we want to be able to create a path for licensure for that category of candidates as well. So we're asking you all to propose these amendments as the rules drafted in your materials. Are there any?
I just want to be clear on the education requirement for a crime scene. It's not that these folks who would be applying, who may not have a formal university level degree would get to skip any of the hard coursework. So they'll still be doing statistics, they'll still be doing fluid dynamics, they'll still be doing the math that's required and all of that. And they can do that coursework. I think that the hard one was about, are we really, if you're 30 years into your tenure doing crime scene reconstruction, are you really going to go back and get an entire university level degree? And the folks who we spoke with are willing to do the task-specific scientific and math coursework that informs their work in these cases. So we thought that was a reasonable request by the community. We'd rather have them in the program instead of abstaining from the program over the degree requirement.
All right, is there a motion to propose amendments to the rules discussed, subject to suggested non-substantive revisions from the Office of the Governor, Texas Register, and Commission staff? Somebody?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6F on your agenda, we would like to, and we're very thankful that they want to be reappointed to the Licensing Advisory Committee. We have 4 candidates whose terms expired and they're eligible for reappointment. That is Michelle Paulson, Karina Haynes, Andrew Greenwood, and Catherine Sanchez, who is our current chair of the Licensing Advisory Committee.
Is there any discussion? All right, is there a motion to reappoint Licensing Advisory Committee members Michelle Paulson, Karina Haynes, Andrew Greenwood, and Catherine Sanchez?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
For item 6G, we don't have any reported licensing issues that were identified by labs this quarter. So we will update you on that front if we have any in October. I think that concludes, Dr. Bernard, our licensing committee agenda item.
All right. Next is agenda item number 7. It's an update.
So we, as we noted earlier, we met, the investigative panel for this item met in Fort Worth at the Chai, and we have drafted a proposed report with recommendations, and Robert is going to present the contents of the report and findings of the commission.
This is a summary of the report regarding disclosure 2432. DNA Reference Laboratory, through its director, Dr. Salih, filed a disclosure back in August of last year alleging an analyst deliberately deleted files and data from her work computer after she gave notice that she was leaving the laboratory. And it also alleges the same analyst, had an undisclosed conflict of interest due to a personal relationship with a person in another competitor laboratory. We sent those allegations to the analyst and she responded. She strongly denies deleting any files from her work computer. She denied having an undisclosed conflict of interest with a person in a competitor laboratory. And as part of her answer, she raised several concerns about some scientific practices at DNA Reference Laboratory, including the way they do proficiency testing, some inadequate validation of new technologies, and the use of expired reagents. So as part of the investigation, we interviewed the analyst, another employee of the laboratory, and Dr. Salih. Then we reviewed all the documents that were provided related to each of these allegations. We also consulted with representatives of the national accrediting body for the lab, A2LA. So the commission findings with regard to the deleted file allegation, they had submitted to us computer forensic work showing deletions from a particular memory stick that had multiple files deleted. But the forensics could not determine when these files were deleted, and the time period that stick had been in use at the laboratory was from 2008 to 2021. And the analyst didn't even work there for 12 of those years, so it was impossible for us to tell anything from that computer forensics. With regard to the conflict of interest allegation, this analyst did have a relationship with a person in another laboratory, but that laboratory doesn't do DNA work. They're a toxicology laboratory. They do some seized drug work. So we found no credible evidence to support the allegation that the analyst deleted files, and no credible evidence to support the broad allegation that she had some kind of undisclosed conflict of interest. With regard to the proficiency testing issues that were raised, this laboratory took a group approach to proficiency testing. What happened is the lab would purchase 2 identical proficiency tests, and the analyst would complete both of them. And then according to this analyst, Dr. Salih would instruct the analyst to input the results under his CTS proficiency account. So it looked like he took the proficiency test when actually the analyst did a lot of the work. Sometimes he would assist in the interpretation, but the relative contribution of these analysts in the PT is not clear from the record at all. One of the other employees that was taking the PT kind of on behalf of Dr. Salih or with Dr. Salih wasn't really even a qualified not a fully qualified DNA analyst. He's quite capable, but was currently only qualified for extraction, quantification, and CE. And when we talked to Dr. Salih about this, it turns out he was actually helping one of his new analysts with their PT to ensure that they were doing it correctly. And the portion of the proficiency test done by the analyst in any of these cases kind of depended on how complex the DNA mixture was they were looking at and the analyst experience level. With regard to issues of prior validation of new methods, there's an instrument that was supposed to use a reagent called POP4. There was some kind of supply issue, so Dr. Salih purchased a POP7 reagent, and when the analysts tried to use it, they ran into a lot of issues, technical issues, and they contacted the manufacturer who said, POP7 is really not supposed to be used on this. If you're going to use it, you need to conduct a validation study to determine if it can be used in casework. They went back to Dr. Salih and he told them to just keep trying by varying the injection times or varying the run times until it passed quality assurance checks. They did run a series of performance checks, but that all fell well short of a proper validation. There was another kit that was used by Dr. Salih when a particular instrument was out of service called the Monarch Extraction and Purification Kit. He just used that without any prior validation, and the records that we have show that validation is still not complete on that kit. And with respect to the alleged use of expired reagents, both the analysts reported that they would sometimes use expired reagents. They were advised that the reagents could be used for up to 3 months after the expiration date. The laboratory SOP does not allow that. There's no deviations that are authorized in the records. Dr. Salih denies those allegations of using expired reagents. So our findings with regard to proficiency testing in the report is that the group approach to proficiency testing utilized by this laboratory is unsupportable. The analysts should complete their PTs independently because that group approach kind of defeats the purpose of proficiency testing requirements, which is to provide an accurate assessment of the independent abilities of the analyst. In discussions with A2LA, they concur that this group approach is not fit for purpose and that they will address it at the lab's next assessment. With regard to the validation issues, we find that the laboratory did fail to properly validate both the POP7 reagent and the Monarch kit before using them in casework, which is a violation of the Code of Professional Responsibility. Dr. Salih's forensic analyst license expired in November of 2022, just FYI. The use of expired reagents we think should be further reviewed by A2LA at the lab's next assessment. And so with regard to the accreditation of the lab, historically they had been suspended by A2LA in 2022 for reasons that are unrelated to this disclosure. And concurrent with that, the commission also suspended their accreditation. In February of 2024, A2LA reinstated the laboratory's accreditation, but the Texas Forensic Science Commission did not. And so based on the findings in this report, it's our recommendation to continue this accreditation suspension by the commission and to decline to approve their renewal application that they have pending at this time. And that we may reconsider it after A2LA reviews these nonconformities described in the report and the issues are addressed by the laboratory.
One thing we should mention is they do very few criminal cases. Most of their work is in paternity and immigration, so they don't do like a ton of complex mixture interpretation or anything like that. Either Dr. Cole or Ms. Zemek, did you want to add anything?
I have nothing to add.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, is there a motion to adopt the draft investigative report subject to non-substantive revisions by staff or the accrediting body?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8.
Just to give everyone an update, we have moved the investigation of this matter forward some. This was a complaint regarding testimony by a blood alcohol analyst, an interpretive toxicologist at the DPS crime lab in Houston. It was filed by attorney Mark Thiessen. We have interviewed the complainant, the toxicology expert involved in the case, the analyst about whom the complaint was filed. We have reviewed multiple transcripts and documents. And really, this report is going to be very important because its primary focus is on the disclosure obligations regarding pending quality incidents. So this is going to impact everyone because that's an issue that is not lab specific. It's not the only thing that is complained about, but it is a major element of the complaint. So our next step will be to have an in-person investigative panel meeting, either at Mr. Parsons' office in Brazos County or at Sam Houston or at Texas Southern, depending, because our panel members are Mr. Parsons, Dr. Kerrigan, and Dr. Drake. So we will arrange for that, and then we expect to have a draft at the next meeting. Because it has potentially broad ramifications, we wanted to make sure we did a very thorough review of the allegations and also the implications of anything we might recommend, and have enough time to show it to all the people who will be impacted by whatever the commission says. Anything else, Robert? Have I left anything else off? So we should have something, a draft for October.
All right. Item number 9, update on the panel on complaint 2446.
So this was a complaint regarding forensic document examination, but what we were informed after the last meeting, and we did not realize when we asked you all to approve this for investigation, is that actually it involves a civil case, not a criminal case. And because it involves a civil case and not a criminal case, we have no jurisdiction over the complaint. So what you have before you is a motion to withdraw the vote to accept the complaint and then to dismiss the complaint for lack of jurisdiction.
Okay, so first, is there a motion to withdraw the April 11th, 2025 vote to accept the complaint for investigation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, is there a motion to dismiss the complaint for lack of jurisdiction because the complaint involves a civil case?
So
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.
Item 10 is a request that the commission adopt the amended investigative report that is in your meeting materials on the complaint that was filed by Kevin Schuett. And the reason we are amending this report is because after it was adopted, ANAB gave some feedback about how they want to see the reporting language in cases where a laboratory method cannot distinguish between THCA and THC in the neutral form. So they came in with some feedback. Texas DPS went back and did a much more sort of detailed version of how they're going to be doing the reporting. They really thought through the various scenarios and what they needed to say. So the updated report reflects that. Dr. Kerrigan and Dr. Drake have both reviewed it, and this would go up on the website in replacement for what we had posted there. It's an amended report.
The amended report also include the referral of the complainant to the.
Yes,
Okay.
that has already been done.
All right, so is there a motion to adopt the amended investigative report subject to non-substantive revisions by staff?
So moved.
Motion is made, second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 11. Item 11.
Robert, the firearms.
All right. We have 2 meetings of the blind verification working group for firearms and tool marks. In May, the working group approved the blind verification policies of the Dallas Police Department, Houston Forensic Science Center, and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. In June, the working group approved the blind verification policies of the Plano Police Department and the Tarrant County ND's office. Our next meeting is August the 19th, and we have 3 labs and all of DPS still outstanding, but I believe it's all going to be wrapped up in that August meeting because the implementation of this is November the 1st. With regard to the firearm method performance working group, in April, the working group finalized various factors that could affect the performance of the method, and NIST demonstrated their NIST validation assessment tool, which maps performance data that exists for various types of firearms, types of ammunition, the condition of the questioned evidence, etc., and tailors performance data to the type of evidence in the case being worked by the analyst on a case-by-case basis. So our next meeting is September the 30th. That'll be an in-person meeting of the group with hands-on training by NIST, teaching firearm tool mark analysts how to use this vast tool.
And I would just like to say we owe a debt of gratitude to Dr. Henry Swafford and Dr. Steve Lund of NIST because they have really been giving their time and energy to this project and helping, and also the group that's been involved in the work. It's a lot of time, and the firearms examiners from various labs around the state have been enthusiastically engaged in the work, so we're very grateful for that.
Okay, item number 12.
Okay, so we had, so far we've had 3 total meetings of the statewide rapid DNA task force, or working group, I should say. And the 2 most recent meetings that we had, one of them we weren't sure whether the legislature was gonna approve certain legislation that was needed in order to advance the pilot program on arrestee samples, as well as on the use of rapid DNA technology on evidentiary samples. But by the time we met in June, we knew that those bills had made it through and that DPS did receive funding for the pilot program on in 2 counties, and it is Montgomery and Williamson. Okay, great. So when we met last, the group wanted to propose to the commission 3 deliverables, or a scope of work that includes 3 items for the work of the task group. One of them is to develop a statement regarding the types of samples best suited for rapid DNA based on existing technology and research. The second item is to develop an accreditation umbrella MOU that may be adopted by labs accredited by NAB or A2LA in partnership with law enforcement agencies. The FBI has released a draft MOU or released it to the CODIS administrators, and we're going to be using that to develop a sample MOU. And then finally, the third deliverable or item that the group will achieve is to develop parameters for a rapid DNA operator license. So those were the things that the group came up with that they thought would be good deliverables for their work. I did wanna say before the vote that since that last meeting, it's become evident to us the value of having a group like that meet that really understands both the potential for the technology and the limitations of the technology. Because between that meeting and today, we had the tragedy in Central Texas with the flooding that happened, and during that period, the CHI was tasked primarily with doing the identification work in collaboration and consultation with the Texas Rangers. And the fact that we have Texas Rangers who participated in the FBI's initial piloting of the rapid DNA technology meant that they understood the limitations of the technology and were able to communicate those to local partners. And I would also like to say that because of those relationships that had been developed, I think it was probably a more seamless process under extremely stressful circumstances that the CHI faced, in particular Dr. Coble and Ms. Seemack. So I think the Rapid DNA Working Group, we have taken a little bit of a pause because we want to give the CHI a minute to catch their breath and to give the Rangers a minute as well. But we will be meeting again soon. I'll get with DPS about scheduling that. The hope is that at some point we'll do a field trip to DPS so that Brandon Letts, Dr. Letts can show us the technology up close. But right now they're building a massive fence around the DPS property, and so nobody can park there, so we're gonna wait on a field trip, but we are gonna keep working in this capacity. So I don't know if there are people in this room who are integral parts of that group. If anyone has anything to add, please feel free. Hopefully I got that right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna digress before we take a vote and just add, in our forensic field, everybody that's in the laboratory, when something goes wrong, everybody knows about it. The media jumps all over it, it's in the press, and when things go right, there's absolutely nothing mentioned. So the public really doesn't, I mean, all they've got is television. You know, you go to station break and the DNA is all done, you know, when you get back. But the fact that you heard absolutely nothing in a horrible time period, you know, families were frantic, and the fact that there was no complaint, there were no people screaming about wanting their loved one, which is totally understandable, tells you how well it went. And so just for our commissioners, Ms. Zemak and Dr. Coble, I think, should really be applauded for the amount of work they put in and the effort. It won't show up in the newspapers, but at least we can appreciate it because, and I'm sure there are a lot more people involved, but those are the two that I know of. So, you know, again, it's the lack of any sort of complaint that tells you how well it went. And I don't think the public has the ability to intuit that that means it went really well. But those people in this industry do understand that. So I just thought that needed to be pointed out.
So I do think we need a motion on the scope of work proposed by the statewide task force on rapid DNA.
So I don't have to do three, do I?
No.
Okay. So is there a motion to adopt the scope of work proposed by the statewide task force on rapid DNA, which includes 1, development statement regarding the types of samples that are best suited for rapid DNA based on existing technology and research. 2, to develop an accreditation umbrella MOU that may be adopted by laboratories accredited by ANAB or A2LA in partnership with law enforcement agencies. The FBI is soon to release a model. And 3, develop rapid DNA operator licensing program parameters.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, agenda item number 13. Dr. Stout is not here. He's at the Capitol talking about THC, is my understanding. We did get approved by the legislature the funding for the Forensic Apprenticeship Pilot Program, SB 1620. We had a brief meeting yesterday to talk about next steps there. So the TAPLET will be sending out a survey to discuss which areas of forensic science have the greatest need in terms of backlogs and so forth. And we're going to be asking the same questions of the law enforcement agencies as well as the district attorney's offices. And then we will be talking with the Office of Court Administration about how those contracts are going to work and with the universities about curricula development, but that will happen after we get a sense of exactly which disciplines we're going to be focusing on. It's really exciting that we got that program and that it was funded, so we have to be intentional about how we approach it so we can show the legislature that it is helping to focus on long-term career development as well as backlog reduction in forensic science in Texas.
All right. Number 14, discuss recent and upcoming forensic development training and education projects.
So we have done a number of things, staff has since we last met. I was invited to and gave a presentation on the report we did in the state of Texas versus Caitlin Armstrong on DNA evaluations at the activity level. Gave that presentation to the statewide TRACE meeting for DPS, which is an effort that is organized by IFRTI at the Institute for Forensic Research, Training and Innovation at Sam Houston. So I attended that, gave a presentation. I also spoke, Mark Daniel every year asks us to give a talk at his Tarrant County Capital Defense Lawyers Seminar, so I went and gave that presentation. Presented at AFDA, which is the Association of Forensic DNA Analysts and Administrators. That was held in Houston last week. We were on a panel for the NIST Human Factors Report and also presented on the Armstrong report as well. Next week, I'm going at the request of Jarvis's first assistant. Did I get that right, Jarvis? Yes.
Correct.
To the AGACL, and I can never remember what does it stand for?
It's basically attorneys, generals. It's basically capital litigation. So people who still practice death penalty work at the trial or appellate level. So
I'll be going to Nashville to present to them, and I noticed on the agenda that it's mostly Texas folks, so that was interesting. Lots of former AG lawyers who do capital work. We also, Shelley Rossi and I went to TDIAI and co-presented on the licensing program, voluntary licensing program. We have DNA training on mixture interpretation with a heavy focus on number of contributors and tools around that coming up in Waco again. Thank you to the Rangers for letting us use their training facility. Lee will be presenting to the FIAC of the A2LA coming up here on Tuesday, very soon, talking about the work of the Forensic Science Commission and the interface between accrediting bodies and the commission. And then Robert will be presenting the first week in August to TCDLA's Actual Innocence Seminar. So we do a lot of presenting at various conferences. Any questions about any of that?
All we hear are really good things about y'all's presentation, so it speaks well. Item number 15, report from the DNA Technical Leader Working Group.
Okay, so after the Armstrong report was released, we put together a group of DNA technical leaders who are working on an initiative around first reporting and statements about what the DNA testing that's done in laboratories, what it means and what it doesn't mean, and what the limitations of that are. So Jared Kennedy, whom I know you all know, has led that effort for us, and they recently got consensus on the principles of the reporting statements. It doesn't have to be the exact language, but that is something that they have come to consensus on and will be rolled out soon. It is not an accreditation checklist requirement, but because the consensus was reached among the labs, that will be, we think, pretty straightforward to release. And now they're gonna move on to a guidance document around answering TPPR questions, so transfer, persistence, prevalence, and recovery. That is a much harder task, much more challenging task, and so that will take some time, but lots of kudos to JERA for moving that along. They meet every 2 weeks, and it was even suggested that maybe they go to a month, and they all said, no, we like meeting every 2 weeks. So they do this online via Zoom and really try to work out how to best support analysts who are asked these questions frequently, but don't currently have a system within which to punt those questions to like an activity level team, like you might see in other countries that do this work regularly and have validated actual methods to do the work. So that is where we stand on the DNA Technical Leader Working Group on reporting and testimony.
All right. Item 16, Mr. Mills, update regarding Department of Public Safety on Crime Laboratory Records Connect Portal.
Brady Mills, Texas CPS, just to give a short update on 2 different points. First, on the portal side, we do have our vendor in place. We are working with Sistema Technologies, which is located here in Austin. They kind of bring about 20 years of experience in developing software to the project, so we're very excited to partner with them. We're daily meetings, so basically we're trying to shoot for August 31st to have the high-level system requirements developed for the portal. Then we're also starting a working group with the attorneys, so we'll start meeting both the defense and the prosecution across the state just to kind of get them engaged in the process, and also give them the ability to look at the interface and kind of give us some feedback on how that's going. And then the large go live target is August of 2026, so it's about a year from now. So there'll be a phased rollout at that point. We'll probably look for a DA's office with the defense attorneys that interact with that DA's office that have one forensic service provider. So we'll start small and then kind of build out. So that'll probably be one of our labs out west where we were providing most of the forensic support for those attorneys. As far as we've started the integration discussions, and so we're meeting with the individual laboratories. When we meet with the labs, we're bringing ourselves, the vendor, the laboratory, and also the LIMS vendor as well. So we're starting to have those individual meetings. And then just to speak specifically to Justice Tracks, many of the labs here in Texas do use Justice Tracks, so we've already started that conversation with Versatron, and so a lot of that high-level interaction between the portal vendor and that particular LIMS provider has started. And then the administrative rules are now approved through the entire process, and they're should be located, actually they are located as of June 27th on the Texas Registry. Then the other piece of this is we were very, had a lot of great support from Senator Hanover's office. He was able to get $500,000 worth of funding that has been given to the governor's office for a grant program to help laboratories in the state to get ready for portal. And so that's going to be for scanning files, or if there's IT components that they need, there's funding available from the state to be able to kind of move labs to a better position to comply with the requirements of portal. And money's available in September. We are just now starting a conversation with the governor's office to try to figure out how that grant program would work. So those are 10 questions. Please the brief. All right, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can stay up there because Peter's not back. The offices that are gonna help with the demoing, the beta testing of the portal for prosecutors, you already have those identified, or do we need volunteers?
The phase rollout, we don't. Let me get back to you on, do we need volunteers for the group? I know that they've been talking to different attorneys, both prosecutors and defense, but I don't know if we built that group out, but I'll certainly share.
Okay, because my guess is Mr. Parsons would volunteer.
I'm down.
What?
I said I'm down.
Very good. We will add you to the list, sir.
Go.
All right. Item 17 is update from Texas Association of Crime Lab Directors. Dr. Stout is out. Dr. Stout and Mark out. you have nobody to harass.
Yeah, what are we gonna do, right? So, Dr. Stout apologizes, but as Lynn mentioned, he's over at the Capitol talking to leadership about some of the issues that we have in laboratories. We had our meeting yesterday. One of the big highlights of that meeting is we have a lot of us in the room are members. It was a very small organization, but we, at the end of the meeting yesterday, I think we are out to 75 members strong. So we're quite an organization at this point, and so we took a break to celebrate that yesterday. As far as business, we do have some legislative action, and so members are meeting with offices. They did extensive meetings during the session, mostly focused on THC. And then now in special session, we're having those continued discussions with both leadership offices and then also individual members about THC. We'll see how that works out over the next 30 days. And then we are excited as an organization to partner with y'all on the apprenticeship program. I think, as Lynn mentioned earlier, that was a pretty big idea that's been floated for many years, and now it's actually going to be something real. So I think we all have the ability to make this a good thing for us and continue to have Texas lead the way in some of these forensic issues.
Yeah, timing's everything. Suddenly money's available or you get the right ear, and problem that's been with the resolution or potential resolutions out there for years, but finally, yeah, there's a lot of potential to that.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there any other agenda items we need to consider for the next quarterly meeting that we already haven't?
We'll carry over what we have and add anything else if we need to.
All right, and our meetings are scheduled already out to October of 26. I don't know that we need to, I see it's a motion. All right, so the dates are there. So is there a motion to direct staff to schedule on these dates?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting, the motion carries. I might be in trial that day. All right, and 20, is there any public comment? Hearing none, remarkably at 11 o'clock with that schedule, I have to remind Mr. Daniel that he now has a yardstick to measure up to. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. That was impressive.